Hello, this is the Black Jester of Black Jester Matters, Gulag Budai, in real name. I am here with episode 69 because I decided to stop there. And, well, before I start, I want to tell you how I've been reminiscing about the good old times, about the times when we were able to have knife fights with each other as kids and just regular camaraderie. One defenseless person, you with a knife, just stabbing them. And not a cop to stop you. It was just, wonderful old times. And so apparently that cop got fired because he had a smart mouth and a very, very funny statement. And was totally accurate. I'll take issue with shooting Blake in the back, but I'm not going to take issue by shooting her in the side when she's trying to stab another person. She literally was waving the fucking knife. That's a line, man. There's a line that you cross. And defenseless person. I mean, maybe if two people were in a dueling scenario where they both consented to the situation. But was not the case. Was not the case. Right and left have this problem. Right, and I'll include Tim Pool in this one because on this issue, he's certainly right. Very right. And because, he tries to cover up things, but I've noticed that the Floyd trial and stuff, he really wanted them to get him off. And he doesn't seem to understand that the Constitution was developed for civilians to be protected against authorities. And police are specifically there to be regulated, not protected by these laws and the Constitution, particularly the Bill of Rights, but not limited to. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, so it seems that the right tends to want to, on this issue, when you're right wing on this issue, you tend to be a little eager to defend cops and want cops to be in the right. And you want the courts to tell you they're in the right and things like that. Whereas the left, well, they seem to be very dependent on the cops being bad guys. And I'm kind of glad to see when the cop is a good guy once in a while. It's very painful as a police brutality victim to constantly see police brutality in the media. So my hat's off to that unfortunately ex-police officer who was completely competent and had a very good aim and who saved a person's life, who apparently decided, well, that black life mattered, and still got in trouble. It is not a good thing, but it's Washington D.C. So what is going to happen? So it could be really libertarian on these things, I guess. Anyway, they should give credit where credit is due when good policing is actually there. There probably isn't a lot of good examples of it because a lot of it has to do with stupid laws they probably shouldn't violate their oath enforcing. Well, I ask cops sometimes with COVID stuff, I'm like, is their oath really worth breaking for this? And anyway, to the title, which does affect some, well, I don't want to name who this affects. I'm sure we all know who it affects because we've seen these videos. and it largely this dramatic. Well, I guess it's for dramatic effect, but I think there's something damaging. I don't. I'm not saying. I'm not saying people shouldn't be able to say this stuff. By the way, I know how they'll construe. Well, you're criticizing speech, so it's not free. You're opposing free speech, and that's bullshit. Free speech is there to be criticized by other free speech. So get off that bullshit. Anyway, as I was saying, the title of this, as you noticed, is Garbage Human Being, or something of that effect. And garbage human being is a thing that gets thrown around tubers, largely maybe like Gamergate-ish types and I guess people who would call themselves traditional liberals or centrists or whatever, blah blah blah, milk toast, whatever, whatever they identify as. Not my business. I try to know who the hell I am, which is exactly the point here. I think you can use any ethnic slur in the book. You can use pretty much any insult and ad hominem in the book. Why, sir, my manners are impeccable. Um, my what was I? I you can use any slur ad hominem in the book, and it's still not as what damaging as I think something like garbage human being is. Now explain, because garbage is something you throw away. You totally give up on. You have no use for. I mean, there are a lot of slurs usually refer to things that are very useful and still and have some sort of hope. And calling someone garbage, calling them a garbage human being, period. I mean, I can see someone getting angry saying garbage, but garbage human being is a very, very specific and very usually calmly spoken phrase. And the problem is that like it treats people like they're not just useless, but maybe you could call them recycled human beings or recyclable human beings. But um, garbage human being is like saying that this human being is irredeemable. And largely it is. I mean, if you call maybe a predatorial rapist or if you want to know the difference between predatory and the less heinous, they're opportunists, right? If they are given the opportunity, they'll do it. But if they're not, they won't. Um, like, I guess you could Michael Jackson, for instance, right? We don't know if he actually did do anything. The kids would just figure, well, an amusement park and all that other stuff. It's kind of weird. But here's the thing. Well, let's just put it this way. The most heinous people in that situation would be the parents, and it's almost like they would have, if it happened, they used his dick to rape their kid. And that's what I mean about opportunism, right? Because the kid is brought to the person, as opposed to a predator who goes to the playground, skulks around, gets a ice cream truck or whatever, and pulls them off the street and that sort of thing. Say with adult stuff, you know. I mean, if they show up at your door in the middle of the night and you just, um, and you got a rager at the time and you want to empty it, which is the reverse of Mike Tyson, who gets celebrated for some reason, who actually went to somebody else's door, knocked on it, and did it, and he got off easy because I found his lamb, and he got released because they thought he was reformed. he never filled he never filled a full term. That's why I think it'd be fair to make him suffer for it still. He never filled his full term because he discovered Islam just at the right time too. I mean, if he said that just a few years later, oh, he would have been renditioned. That I mean, Tyson's a lucky guy. You got to give him that. But yeah, Tyson was a predator. He went up to that room, and then he was saying he wasn't going to take no for an answer. Reverse would be true. Would be opportunistic. If you got a rager, someone knocks on the door, and you're not in control of yourself. Uh, Not my problem, but I guess you could say it's the most entrappable type of personality in these situations. Now, my shadow's kind of weird. My facial hair is being unreasonably vi- res- re- rebellious, I guess would be the word lately, because of shaving. Anyway, yeah, garbage human being is a horrible thing to call someone who isn't a pattern killer or a predatory rapist. And I think, people who are truly redeemable. I mean, you might say that about some people on other things that aren't. They're people who do horrible things. In other cases, they were sociopathic or not, like foreclosing banks on foreclosing homes and stuff like that, and getting off. That's the sociopathic thing. If you There are things like beating people up. Some people get off on it sexually. They're sociopaths. But not everyone who does that is a sociopath. Everyone who commits predatory rape, or everyone who does a pattern murder, very strict MO attached, they are sociopaths. And okay, call them garbage human beings. They're, they can't be fixed. Let's just say that. But most people, if they really wanted to, can get better. They can be better people. They can be decent human beings and stuff like that. Even that Tariq, or was that Tariq? Some asshole recording some guy having a meltdown while he was trying to get his customer service. Now, I would say maybe complain to the boss that they hired somebody who couldn't handle the job or something, but why the hell hassle the guy at the desk like that? It's like, unless someone calls him a garbage human, I think maybe he can learn one day and he'll be a better person. It's possible. I mean, maybe it is hard to teach a old asshole bad new tricks, but yeah, well, it's a very harsh judgment. It's a very harsh judgment on people. I'd like to think, people like Zoe Quinn and stuff like that, they can be better people and stuff like that. I don't want to think they're just they're just they're just you know garbage human beings or trash that can't be replenished. I mean, I say terms like Euro trash, white trash, but that's usually joking. I mean, that's what ad hominems become. By the way, I mean, and a few smart asses like me make jokes, and then eventually they just kind of become jokey terms. So just keep overusing them. Uh, Coffee. So yeah, garbage human being is probably the worst thing you can call somebody, and it's the most, I guess, externalizing defeatism you could probably put on a person. It's, and it's not a good thing. Now, granted, I'm not saying that if they see that and they wallow in it and they make their lives worse because they gave up because people think they're no. People should justify their own existence. I'm just saying, when I hear that phrase, garbage human being, I think worse of the person saying it. Because there's no joke to it, right? It's just calling someone a garbage human being. It's usually somebody trying to feel good about themselves and better about themselves. Like, oh, I'm not a garbage human being. They are. I mean, I am so good. It's like it's like a virtue signal, I guess. That's probably why it's kind of off-putting as well. It's a virtue signal that non-SJWs can enjoy doing. I guess that'd probably be the best way of putting it. And, yeah. I mean, it's be better off just using ethnic slurs. I mean, maybe garbage human being passes on YouTube, but maybe it's covering for another word. Who knows? You could play with that because actually YouTube kind of opens up for any word to kind of be another word because you can't say that word and a lot of people substitute words. And certain people only substitute one word for everything, which is really stupid. But, yeah. So, what else can we talk about? Well, something I need to talk about right here. Jenny Kwan. What do we have here, huh? Fighting a better post-pandemic world. Fighting for a better post-pandemic world. Well, no pandemic here, so I don't know what the hell she's talking about. Something especially, oh yeah, the right of housing for all. No, there is no right of housing for all. There's just something in here, I think it's about support of small businesses. And struggling small businesses still need support. No, they don't. What they need is they need to be able to open. They need to be able to not be forced to restrict people. They don't need a national $15 an hour minimum wage, which is what Trudeau's pushing there to appease the NDP. So clearly he doesn't actually want an election. And wage subsidies and crap like that. Christ. Imagine at the end of a pandemic having such an entitled attitude that somehow you think, oh, someone who has proven the worth to my company deserves, someone who hasn't proven worth to their company deserves $15 an hour on some arbitrary scale. And like business industries aren't even different too. It's like all industries should just pack away and nationally give away $15 an hour. It's not dragging down any of the costs in places that, by the way, it doesn't actually count if you got an $18 an hour minimum wage in your province. This is something the provinces should be deciding. I don't like this extra nationalization of shit. Which people like Jenny are probably pushing for as well. A right to climate action, enshrining the right to a healthy environment. Now, I make fun of this green stuff a lot too, because it's a blue planet, of course. And I got something on HuffingtonPost.com about that. Check that out. The Huffington Post. The real news in a fake way. I don't know. That sounds like a good slogan for it, doesn't it? It does sound like a good slogan. Liberal government C-12 of the Canadian Net Zero Accountability Act. Oh, that's cute. Well, you can count on the Liberals to have no accountability, that's for sure. Just like the NDP and the Conservatives and those legacy parties have been tried out endlessly and always screw up, make everything fucking worse. The right of housing for all. I love how when we have absolutely no money because there's no one being able to open up and create a proper revenue with a proper clientele in their business to have enough revenue to send the government, and they suddenly think, well, we can just spend money. We can spend money. Let's waste money. It's not mine anyway. Hell, it's not even theirs. They can't even send us that much money anymore. Here's the horrible thing about an actual entitled viewpoint is that they will say housing is a right. Now, I don't like the Vancouver has this attitude that somehow it's an amenity. I don't like the idea of housing being an amenity, but calling it a right. I mean, look at it from a homeless man's perspective. If you give a homeless man a place to live, he would view it as a privilege. Because it's something he didn't have for a long time, maybe all his life. So he's going to look at the housing as a privilege. Only someone who's had a housing all their life, and in fact had the housing guaranteed and very easy, because someone like me, always heard my parents talk, and I think even I worried at certain points in my life that maybe rent won't be there. And if you've ever had that moment where you thought, or you heard your parents say, rent might not be there. Rent might not be there. You won't think of it as a right. If it was a right, rent would always be there. You'd always feel guaranteed it would be there. You really never think you'd have to cut something off of a budget or something for rent to be there. You'd be lying back in a bathtub, swimming in your personal pool in a big mansion that a large, overpriced politician probably has on their own. Like my horrifying MP who recently proved that she wasn't actually reading her emails when she responded to them. And that's in another video. Or I'm not sure if it's on a podcast, but it might be another podcast. Jenny Kwan's mentioned on a tag or something. But oh, by the way, do comment and say if there's any point in me having an audio version of this, and maybe I should just, it's a podcast, just video, because I don't exactly have a face for audio, for radio anyway. But I do. It would be nice if it's possible more people listen to it than watch it. So, but it's kind of hard to tell because I got so much multi-platforming that it's kind of spreads out. Like there's not a lot in one specific source listening or watching. So, anyway, they all got comment options anyway. But yeah, so it's like, oh god, all this money that goes to these newsletters that really don't tell me. I mean, really, don't give me a fucking speech, Jenny. Just list your fucking voting record. I'm sure it's abysmal. Yeah. I love how she's got this in a second language, but I don't see it in Hungarian or Dutch. So, I mean, Not that my reading of that stuff is very good either, but actually my Chinese reading is probably better than Dutch and Hungarian. It's just shameful. But uh, probably speech too, actually, and French. I got a B in French, and now I can barely remember what I got a B in because I'd have to read it. Ooh, unflinching courage. Oh, she's getting her butt kissed by the straight, huh? I didn't miss that one. Defending our community from hate and racism. Yeah, this is what we really need her for. She is not She is not She is not defending our community. Maybe we should consider. Maybe let's just talk about Asian hate. Which, by the way, she's a woke as hell. She's the same type of people keeping Asians out of university because they're too successful. That's her beliefs and ideology. She's welcome to comment if I'm wrong, but maybe she could. I haven't heard her criticize those policies. So I've never heard her. And she never. I mentioned my own police brutality thing around her, and I think basically, I think the only thing that concerned her was that, oh no, some people are going. I just lost some votes to his guy because he's got those experiences, personal experiences. What in God's name is that sound? I could have sworn I heard a velociraptor in the hallway. Someone must be using a table saw or something in the hallway. I don't know. Oh. I was honest to be interviewed Georgia Strait for internet. Actually, it must be Intersexual Women's Day. Women's Day. I'm not going to say Women's Day. Oh, I did? Hello. International Women's Day to discuss the misogyny women elected officials face. Oh, yeah. It's got to be so hard being you there, Jenny. You know what's really insane about this is like she's not really a man. She doesn't strike me as a man-hating feminist on a personal level, person to person. I've been around her a few times. She seems more, I don't know, just. I mean, I would say she's feckless as a MP. I mean, she's done a little to. Well, let's put it this way. I think the only thing she's ever done is block one of my Twitter accounts. Which I think is illegal, because I'm actually her constituent. I think it's even illegal if you're not her constituent. Although, kind of, whatever. I mean, as long as you're not expecting them to tolerate your position. Misogyny and racism, simulating as a woman of color. Oh yeah, she's a woman of color. Huh? She's porcelain. Well, she tans sometimes. But let's just face it. They don't consider you a woman of color there, Jenny. They do not. In fact, I think they consider the Slavs more colorful than you now, for some reason. But it's a weird thing. They change the rules all the time. But I guess because it's Vancouver and it's Canada, the sliding scale changes or something. But as far as I remember, they'd be she's in the wrong camp if she really wants equality for Asians overall and stuff like that. Because her camp is more. Well, she's too white. That's basically her camp. So I don't know why the hell she's even bothering with that crowd. She's got privilege, according to everybody else. Which is why I think maybe I shouldn't mention the Asian heritage among the Magyar people that much. I should keep on my mtDNA thing, which goes to a black person. Deep sorrow. Okay, so what's it? Misogyny, racism, simulation as a woman of color. To the deep sorrow we have met with shocking tragic news. This is a lot of nothing. Oh, the tragic news of mass shooting in Georgia targeting Asian women and forget about the others that were shot in that whole thing. And the guy didn't even do it under race. How far back is she? I was like, people like you're gonna send me people overreacting the day after, but the moment it gets to this point, you kind of know the issue wasn't race. It was like the fact the guy was a sexually awkward, I guess you can say it, a guy who didn't get any, um, possibly a misogynist. That's possibly the, what he was actually. Um, you know, a woman hater, possibly inspired by women like this. Uh, well, at least the real ones are like this. I mean, I'll explain something about her. It was kind of weird actually because this is an sitting MP. I mean, I mean, with her attitudes, I wouldn't felt a need to be gallant about it and stick around and make sure no one cause her any harm. But her campaign manager leaves Britannia early. This guy looks like Roy Orbison. I'm not kidding. And if you need to look up Roy Orbison, look up Roy Orbison. You also look up Roy Cooper. Um, and he takes off, and she's going to her van alone in the dark from a debate, and which is probably a new thing for her. I don't know. But she has her guard down, back to everybody. If I was a psycho, she'd be dead. Might have made the election more interesting too. But it's true. I mean, she has no markers if someone's ever been attacked by anybody or anything. She must have had it really good, really protected life. I mean, no one is that. I mean, I can see maybe not seeing me as a person who'd do that sort of thing. I mean, but there are a lot of people that would do a lot of horrible things, and a lot of them tend to be male feminists too. And someone will say, "Oh, I support you so much," and push you into the van, and it will not be pretty. Just a perspective on the psychology here, the individual who we're looking at. I mean, I'm a hyper-vigilant person myself, so I mean, because of the brutality and stuff, and the, but, and she's also a sitting politician. There are a lot of people who really don't like her. I mean, I got non-aggression principle and stuff like that. I wasn't even tempted to do anything. But I could see there are people who are horrifyingly aggressive about that sort of thing. I mean, you gotta keep your guard up, man. It's not a good thing to be. But she wants to be a mark. She's gonna be a mark, right? It won't be her fault if something does happen to her. By the way, I don't believe that, but I just, you know, it's usually just being stupid is what people usually fall for. I hope nothing happens to her like that. No one deserves that. Uh, well, let's think. Rarely anyone deserves that. I mean, she hasn't legislated yet. Might have changed. She, well, she hasn't the ability to control anything and that much. Let's see, blah blah blah. Asian hate crimes. Blah blah. 1 up 7 and okay. She lists a number here that's over 100%. There is no over 100%. You either have a 100% increase as a whole, an equivalent to the whole. Maybe you have it going up 100% more frequently, but maybe you can be a little less lazy about these things. I bitch about everybody when it comes to this stuff. So much of this over 100% stuff, and I kind of wonder how is such a mathematical inaccuracy so easily used, and that affects the whole culture. Pardon me. Stripping us our sense of safety and dignity. You got a hell of a self, as I repeatedly said before. No one has quite the sense of safety as this woman does. From my own eyes. Kind of want to go up to someone like that and go, boo, just to see if they actually react. I mean, maybe it's sociopathy. I don't know. In an effort to combat hate and racism, I am pleased to support NDP leader Jagmeet Singh, who doesn't believe in anything, certainly not ardently. It looks like he's a guy who doesn't really want to be there. I mean, he's a guy who probably wants influence and power, but he doesn't really want to be there to put an effort to have the power and influence. Just saying, he always looks. I mean, so. I don't know. He's like a. It's like a wisp in the air when he talks. Receive unanimous support on his motion to have the House of Commons express horror at the recent mass shootings. That's such bullshit, though. I mean, that's a virtue signal. I mean, who doesn't think it's horrible that people get killed? You got to be a pretty big monster if you don't think so, and you're probably also that same monster if you have to tell people that you think it's horrible people got killed. I mean, really, you waste time in a House of Commons to make a grandiose collective statement when you could just say, wow, that was horrible, people died. I mean, on the default, I kind of assume people don't like people dying on a mass number, or alone, or anything like that. Unless you have to say it. Just like, condemn the rise of, let's see, what is this? Mass shootings in Atlanta, and it's, why only the Atlanta shooting? And their families condemn the rise of anti-Asian racism and racist attacks, and I think it's pretty much been the same since Millard Fillmore. It's just the population grew. I don't think it's actually bigger. And speaking as a person whose ancestors came from Asia, came to Europe and slaughtered a bunch of white people, I see no sense in any of this. My aunt's also recently Asian. She calls herself Canadian. She doesn't call herself Chinese. She calls herself Canadian. She she has a distinguished appearance of such a thing. Magyars, we have this funny thing. Every generation looks very different. So it's like we collect more of the mtDNA, I guess, or the X chromosomes feature information, I guess you can say. So I look like more like things that would be grabbed from my mother's side of the family to develop an appearance. That's why I got dark eyes and dark hair and stuff like that. My father had a mother who had a Bavarian father, so he had more Bavarian features and stuff like that, and at least on the superficial level, right? It's a sort of like a generationally chameleon thing. Um, I even tan more than my father. I don't usually notice I tan, but sometimes I get a ring on my wrist, when it's been sunny a lot and I've been outside a lot, because I usually have long sleeves on. Um, and dark eyes and hair, fat lips. Yeah, very fat lips. Nice teeth until I went to the dentist. Medical science, he needs something. And my teeth is one thing where well, the fillers seem to get, and color stains seem to absorb into my teeth, like, I guess like an allergy. It's a weird anomaly. I lost a molar, it turned into graphite. It looks like graphite anyway. I got a fang that looks like it's an iron deposit, all from a filling that just went crazy. And I wouldn't have gone to see a dentist ever. I do police brutality, and I started grinding my teeth. The teeth grinding after all that shit. Well, teeth grinding will ruin your teeth worse than anything. Aside from nuts. Oh, nuts stick in your teeth longer than you think, and they won't get grabbed by. I mean, they even defy professional teeth cleaners. I mean, let's see what we have here. Racist attacks throughout North America and urge government. Yeah, where were you, honey, when they were going out there and saying, "Get out of the universities. You're too good. Because it's not equitable." That's your lot saying that stuff. That's your people saying that stuff, not your people as in Chinese uh, ancestors and stuff like that, or born or whatever. But it is your people as far as socialists and far leftists are concerned. And by the way, the far left also has the KKK, which is also an environmentalist group. It has, Nazism, communism. Uh, oh yeah, talk about. And she was saying, well, we can deal with the Chinese. We can do this. She was basically ready to lick Chairman Xi's boot in a debate I was at with her once. Same debate, I think, the Britannia debate. And well, let's see what the anti-Asian attacks of his on his own people is pretty horrifying. I guess Trudeau's happily paying for it. She's rising to that opportunity. Uh, Speaking as a person from an Asian culture that came to Europe and slaughtered millions of white people. Now, for woke points, that should be pretty high because, the idea that my ancestors slaughtered lots of white people as an immigrating factor, I should practically get a woke award because, let's see. Some people complain about the weather. My ancestors, back then, in fairness, they did attack us first, but that's just not the funny part. Uh, let's see now. Hosting a federal election territorial meeting to discuss the rise of hate crimes in Canada and coordinate collective efforts to identify the best practices of countering the trend. Maybe if you shut up. I mean, really. Maybe you're the inspiration for it. People like you. All hate incidents and their desperation in the justice system. Working the calibration. No, I would say, I don't think the police did it to me because of that. I mean, I do have a funny name, but and a lot of dark, swarthy features, but I'm pretty sure it was just because they were authoritarian dickheads. But to each his own, I guess. Everyone has their own lived experience. Everyone's got a lived experience. House of Commons unanimously adopted my motion to call the government to also include anti-racism in the anti-racism strategy, which is leading to censorship online by the Canadian Heritage. Fuck you, Jenny. You had no right to do that shit. You're leading people into a censorious hole, which you yourself won't be able to get out of eventually. Because you're considered the enemy of colored people as well. Fighting for a better world in a post-pandemic world. Let's just say she wants to spend an inordinate amount of money for stuff that shouldn't need an inordinate amount of money, because you could just open everything up. You could stop lying about the pandemic bullshit. There's going to be a big thing under here, I think. No, I'm not saying the disease is a lie. That's not true. There is a COVID disease, a SARS-2 out there. But as an amateur microbiologist, well, you see Preceptor back there and stuff like that. I'm not anti-science. In fact, it's my pro-science side that makes me skeptical about stuff. Especially claims that Bonnie Henry herself says is not rooted in science. At least at one point she said that. And there was never any scientific justification for a pandemic claim. There's only a sense of panic people were able to create. And it's causing way more harm than good. Way more. Anyway, stay healthy. And stay healthy. And I hope you have an MP that listens to you. That's not the case out here in Vancouver East. I hope you got a local representative anyway that does listen to you. I wish better for everybody than I have. And I hope you are nice and healthy, get well. If you're not, make a comment, subscribe, flip me the bird, whatever. What's it like? You can also dissenter comment as well. Copy, paste, put it into the dissenter if you got that using Dissenter. The Dissenter browser is very good. Let's see, comment anywhere. Yeah, by the way, you can call Torba a madman, or he's a bit religious, but I mean, the worst things for him to be. I mean, like a congressman. So I mean, I'd encourage the creator of Gab to be as busy as possible working on software, because if he doesn't have Gab and shit to work on, he might become a congressman and start trying to pass laws about his own personal views about stuff. And you don't want that, right? You want him working on that free speech stuff. You want him working on that free speech stuff. All right, anyway, like, subscribe, comment. Have a good day, morning, evening, night, whatever time this is for you. And, check out the merchandise. See that shirt there? You can have that shirt via that itemshops.org. No, sorry, not plural. Itemshop.org. There's that shirt with a bunny on there over there. There are lots of other interesting, humorous cartoons and concepts. You can even wear my Twitter appeal, which is still standing, by the way, because I refuse to delete a post by force. I don't care if that account dies anyway. But I expect them to actually eventually get to the appeal after, what's that, like the second year? That was at GZLFB. You'll notice there's nothing going on there at that account anymore. Or if someone does delete that post, it's been hacked. Yeah, so you can wear stuff like that too. Some anti-censorship stuff, some satire, some enjoyable cartoons, very amusing things like that. And you can get cups too. You don't have to wear them. But, it's kind of cool. People wear that stuff. Damagedcock.com does straight to a shirt that is a funny mockery of my own condition, hypospadias. I hope one day MRAs decide to take that as an issue, because I'm sure no one else will other than hypospadias people. Doesn't really get it around. If anything proves there is no patriarchy, is hypospadias not being cured. So the hypospadias cripple factor. I mean, in Arabia, they have a whole hospital dedicated to pediatric level hypospadias. Best in the world. I think it's in Bahrain or something like that. It's run by India and the Emirates, I think. And that is a patriarchy. So I guess if we had a patriarchy, I'd be cured. I'd be able to stand up and pee. And I can't. And that's an endless humiliation that I have to share with people, because they won't have no, it's my watch. Got a chronograph. Anyway, I'm going to stop this. Hopefully it's not too large for certain networks. Have a good time, everyone. And may the lockdowns and all that crazy shit end.